When I started to think about saying it, I thought, I bet that will help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny we haven't talked
It's
about that exact
kind of
thing.
bizarre, actually.
Well,
That's
maybe.
why I mean,
Do you
you're
think,
so-
do you
it's a
think
good
it's kind of
look.
bizarre in the context of the broader culture we all live in?
No, but I think she's so closed in certain ways that she wouldn't have told me that.
So,
No, the secrets.
what do you think might have contributed
Yeah.
to that?
To her not
Well,
telling
to
me?
her being, quote, closed.
Her parents.
And what would be the cost of being more open and out in that respect?
You mean to her as a young woman?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not, no, it's not that I don't understand her making that choice. I totally understand it. I just think, here I've been so riled up about her allegiance to Bill and when, all this, I'm thinking she's having all these memories of the wonderful sex they had, how much in love she was with him, and, because she got so involved in the grieving and the funeral, and she didn't even say to me, hey, this is your imagination. I've always been interested in women, and I just did this marriage thing, and I loved him, I had kids with him, but no, it's like, that's not my sexual orientation, and it never was, and I never wanted to be sexual with him the way I enjoy it with you. If she had said that to me, I would have, I wouldn't have gotten all bent out of shape, I don't think.
So what are you hearing from her right now in relation to that?
Well, I'm hearing something I never knew before, that all my jealousy and my worry about whether she was really gay was completely unnecessary.
How about that?
What'd you say?
How about that?
How about that?
You know, what interests me is.
Say more.
Well, it's just
how about that? What do
when
you
she
think?
started to talk about her new idea about who I am, I thought
I had no idea.
I thought
no idea.
I thought she was so eloquent that on some level she must have known. That was what I thought.
Now, how would I know that?
Well,
How would I know
5 years of
But
life.
you never told me that. I mean, and I knew how much you loved him and you were with him for a really long time. And, it just felt like you fell in love with me because we have so much more in common than you ever had with him. But I didn't ever feel like you were saying, thank God now I can finally be myself and I've always been gay and I'm so...
I don't know, there's some, what I would say in my own behalf is that when you've needed to keep something so under wraps for such a long time, you can kind of go amnesic about it and not think, not even realize that somebody might actually need to hear the story rather than be horrified by the story. Never mind that you're my partner and all that. But I think there's maybe a habit to...
So if you've had perhaps way too many experiences of that being a horrifying story rather than a validating story,
Right.
what's it like to be here now where there's reception of that story?
Well, it's great, and also just to have you be here with us talking about it is its own validation. And, I feel very accepted to be increasing layers of honest because nothing seems to horrify you. And probably even when you, and this is about me, it's going to sound like it's about you, but when you are pursuing me a lot and so on, I feel like you're horrified about how I am, as a person. And
That doesn't even make
yeah,
sense to
well,
me.
it's something about feeling judged.
When I'm pursuing you for
No.
more love, you feel judged?
I experience it as you find me inadequately expressive.
Oh.
So I hear it more as judgment
Oh.
and horror about how I am. And
Okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
What have you been hearing tonight as we've been sitting here?
Well, there's something about being three of us and having you be validating that makes it easier for me to talk more directly and kind of even go into the parts of myself that I don't indulge much, you know, like
And as
Be
you,
more
as you
open.
think about you indulging in those parts of yourself, it strikes me that there's some ways in which that historically might have been a dangerous place for you to go
Right.
to.
right.
What's it been like to do with this woman
Mhm.
who's known you for the last 5 years, right now?
Well, you might have to ask me in another year or something, because
Okay.
I feel like if I can get that you aren't somehow horrified by my reserve, or whatever is my problem, then I might be able to settle into feeling good about myself and us in a way that I haven't been able to.
Do you think you could say more about what it would take for you to feel that I'm not horrified by your reserve?
Maybe if well, I don't think you should have to make that happen. I think that's my it's an inside job. But
Well, no, there might be, you know,
But
there
I
might be
did
something I
think-
could do.
I think when you get all intense and sure something's wrong, you know, it's kind of like being found out, you know, or
Hmm.
some other kind of outed, kind of, you know, it's like you know, you're after me, that there's something that's off base about me, and you put it as like, oh, she's going to be unfaithful, or oh, she's, you know, I mean, in a way, you're telling me my sexual preference is wrong. That's what you're telling me.
What do you mean?
Because you're saying she likes men.
Well, now, okay, but now I know something
But-
different.
But maybe this has been a jammed up place.
Oh, it totally has
You know,
been a gem.
the more you say, oh, you probably like men, I think, oh, I'm not right sexually.
Well, I'm not gonna be saying that anymore, because you gave me this other information. But, I think I have to keep saying
So
sturdy,
here's
sturdy and calm, you know?
Yeah, I mean, here's the
Yeah,
question that comes up to me,
sure,
'cause
yeah.
we're
Well,
gonna,
not cold.
we're gonna
Calm,
just,
calm,
just
calm.
stop
Calm.
in just a minute here. So I have a couple of last questions I want to ask you guys. One is, I'm struck by the phrase you just used of being outed.
Mhm.
And aware of the ways in which being outed could be really, really dangerous for you historically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Historically, and if I want to have a feeling of family, I have my son. Beyond that, we get to my 92-year-old mother, and then we get to my sisters, who are much younger than I am. So, and they are also not accepting. So.
Mhm.
I don't think I ever saw Caroline's, I'll call it, this is gonna sound insulting, I don't mean it, but, I don't mean it to be insulting, but I guess I never saw her inhibition in terms of holding me or putting her arms around me in the context of her family, or, you know, all the stigma of having a gay I took it really personally. I didn't have that other frame to look at it.
Yeah.
So that,
So what's
That's
it like
helpful.
for you having a different? I mean,
oh, it's really
this-
helpful.
You know, like, we're entering an era that stuff has been crazy. It's about to get a whole lot crazier.
Yeah,
Helpful in what ways?
because Caroline talked about feeling when I came after her, like, that meant she was defective in some way. Well, I take the fact that she doesn't hug me and, act like this is my woman, in public. I took it as she thinks there's something revolting about me, or she's ashamed of me, or she doesn't want people to know that we're connected, and it makes a big deal. It makes a big difference to realize what she's saying, that there's a huge weight on her, that she's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
carrying the weight of feeling like her parents and her sisters wouldn't approve, and the weight
So-
of being socialized into a
So the
society
idea
that
that it's
doesn't
less
approve.
about you
Yeah.
and more
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
her
yeah,
and the
Yeah.
culture in which we live.
Yeah, so then
Um,
it changes it a lot.
Okay.
But do you mind if I put my arm around you? It sounds like that could freak you out too.
Well, let's work with it.
All right.
All right, so here's actually really the last question, unless I come up with another one that I want to ask you. As each of you, because we're going to need to wrap up, this has actually been really a pleasure for me to meet with the two of you.
Thank you.
And I have a great respect for the care that you have for each other. And, you know, and also an appreciation of the way in which it's been kind of a rocky road. But in the midst of all that, my question would be this. As you guys think about walking away from this meeting, going back into your just sort of daily lives, what would you hope to take away from our conversation today and hang on to in your relationship with each other?
Do you want to go first? Or
No.
Okay. Well, I got a lot. I got that on many ways, how she is very different from how I am, and how she would show her love is very different, and that that she's more strong and sturdy, and that I could trigger in her fear, actually. You know, that she doesn't really feel safe being out, and that some of what I experienced is her not giving me the touch I want, not being so affectionate in public, that's not about me. And that would help hugely. And of course, the discussion about the fact that her orientation she says was always gay, which is, not something she shared with me. So I don't know how I could be in a relationship with her for 5 years and not get this, but not understand the ways she's inhibited, and kind of the trauma is the word I would use, that she got in her family from the disapproval of who she was in the most basic way. So I didn't get that, so that changes it changes a lot.
It's a really interesting phrase that you're using, trauma. I mean, sort of moving from this sort of personal flaw to social trauma, to me is
Yeah,
just
I
interesting.
just totally missed it, really, which makes me feel like an idiot, actually. But
For you, what do you want to remember? Take away.
Oh, I guess I have a new appreciation. I guess I would say trauma too. I have a new appreciation for what it's cost me to have been born as a woman I am into the family I was. And that, I live in a way that doesn't make it come up so often. So I'm not always staring in the face of it, but I think it's good to have that be front and center, and to just remember and appreciate myself for just how hard the match was. Not this match, but the match, the family I got dropped into.
Mhm. Mhm. And where does it leave you with this match?
Oh, I feel, you won't like this too much, but I feel like tentative and in a sweet way, like because this is vulnerable for me. I don't want to move too quickly. Not like I'm going anywhere, but I just now that you have a better sense of my reserve, then I think we can move forward. I won't feel like you're pushing against my
Yeah.
reserve. Then I can come
Okay.
out myself.
okay, that makes Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Do you have another question, or did you?
No, I don't have another question. You know, we could do this sort of stuff about scheduling and all that kind of crap, but let's not do that now.
Yeah, okay, that'd be fine. Yeah, we'll do it by email.
We'll do it by that would be lovely. All right.
Okay, but thank you for,
Yes, that was wonderful.
being
really-
willing
it's
to meet
been
with
really-
us, and
It's been really nice to meet with you guys.
I feel like the wrong therapist could really have looked at us and I mean, because we're both therapists, we know how therapists think. So the wrong
Yeah.
therapist could have looked at us and made up all kind of stories about pathology and impossibility and stuff. And I feel like you led with openness, that I felt more and more open. So,
Well, thanks.
yeah.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
It's actually, for me, it's an intention that's very close to my heart. So I
Mm-hmm. It
appreciate
shows, like it shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of magical. It was very cool.
Let's not get carried away.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So.